Kickoff for the 2025 college football season is just 50 days away, and these are my best case and worst case scenarios for the Vanderbilt Commodores in the 2025 season. Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Phillips of SEC Unfiltered. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. As always, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Check us out via podcast, wherever you get your podcast. You can also find us across all social media platforms, as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. As always, we're powered by our friends over at FANDUEL. Visit FANDUEL.com/SECU to join today and get started with $250 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. Once again, that's FANDUEL.com/SECU to get $250 in bonus bets today. Kickoff for the 2025 season is just 50 days away. And we take a look today at the Vanderbilt Commodores. Clark Lea, Diego Pavia, Eli Stowers and the gang looking to build off of a big 2024 campaign in which they essentially shocked the college football world, went to and won a playoff game. Of course, signature wins over Alabama, Auburn, and others as well. As we turn our attention to the 2025 season for the Doors, these are my best case and worst case scenarios. Now, let me give an early disclaimer. No, this is not a prediction. This is not my prediction for what Vanderbilt will do in this upcoming 2025 season. That will be coming in the following weeks. Think the end of this month or early August, if you will. I like to start very broad, a wide lens, look at the schedule, and just kind of get a feel. Hey, this is probably this team's ceiling. This is probably this team's floor. And when I say best case, worst case, guys, I mean realistic best case and worst case. So no, 12-0 and 0-12 is not a good answer for this exercise. So without further ado, guys, let's pull up Vanderbilt's schedule, because this is a really good starting point when you talk about this team and what are realistic expectations and a realistic ceiling and floor. And again, you're looking to build off of a 7-win season in Nashville a season ago, a 6-win regular season. Obviously, Diego Pavia burst on the scene as one of the most electric players in college football. Obviously, he files the appeal. He is now back for this season. He might have the best tight end in college football with Eli Stowers. They return a ton defensively as well. And Clark Lea obviously looking to keep the momentum going there down on the West End. But they've got a tough schedule this upcoming 2025 season, guys. That early season, remember the season opener last year? You beat Virginia Tech at home and you pulled the upset, and that really set the tone. Well, you got to go to Virginia Tech. Then you open conference play at South Carolina the week following. Get Georgia State at home, which is kind of an interesting revenge game, if you will, because you might recall Vandy actually, what's crazy, lost to Georgia State last year, still ended up winning 6 games, which is just wild. You then have Charleston Southern in the season opener, by the way, and Utah State in the non-conference. So, you feel like 3-1 is very possible. It should happen, actually, in non-conference. Maybe even 4-0 if you can beat the Hokies again. Granted, you got to go to Blacksburg, really tough place to play. But, I mean, I don't really think Virginia Tech's going to be anything all that great this year. So I think very much so a winnable game for the Doors. You then go to Tuscaloosa. This is when your schedule really starts to kick you in the teeth, guys, because Bama, they're going to be looking for revenge. Then you got LSU coming to Nashville. You got Missouri coming to Nashville. What are they going to be with Bo Prabula this year? You got to go to Texas. That's a brutal road trip. Texas, of course, going to be one of the best teams in college ball. Auburn comes to town. Auburn's looking for revenge. Hugh Freeze, Diego Pavia is the guy he absolutely cannot beat. That's going to be a really interesting game. You then get Kentucky at home. Then you got to go to Tennessee and Rocky Top. And listen, I'm not all that high on Joey Aguilar, but that's a tough road trip anytime you're going to Neyland. So, guys, you look at this schedule. At Vatech, at South Carolina, at Alabama, at Texas, at Tennessee, and I didn't even mention the games against LSU, Mizzou, et cetera. So it is a gauntlet of a schedule, truly. It really is. And the difference this year, too, is that Vandy's going to be sneaking up on no one. Now, what does that really mean? I feel like that's one of those fun off-season things we like to say. like we sit here and think that coaches, because they were playing Vandy last year, they took the week off or they were taking the opponent lightly, especially after Vandy beat Alabama. I think everyone was on high alert of what Vandy was capable of. So when you look at this season, what are the best case and worst case scenarios for the Vanderbilt Commodores? Best case, guys, I'm going 7-5. And I think, listen, you could maybe convince me at 8-4, maybe, but I feel like 8-4 is pushing it a little bit. I do. I just, even if you go 4-0 in non-conference, and you'd have to do so, I think, to get to 8-4, obviously, maybe even 7-5. Are you going 4-4 or better in conference play? Again, you got to take on LSU. You got to take on Texas. You got to take on Tennessee. You got to take on Alabama. You could argue that's 4 losses right there de facto before the season even starts. So you got to go undefeated in the rest of them, and you got to beat a Virginia Tech in non-conference to get to 8 wins. I think that's asking a little much for this Vanderbilt football team. And I love Diego Pavia. I'm now a resident of Nashville. I got nothing but love for Ranker Down. I think 8-4 is a little aggressive with this schedule. I think best case and the ceiling, and I think it'd be a successful season. Getting to 7-5, a 1-game improvement from last year to this year with the pieces you have returning. Guys, worst case, and again, when I say best case, by the way, I think everything clicks. Diego Pavia continues to be a difference maker. Eli Stowers continues to be a top target. They find some other guys on the outside. Cedric Alexander at the running back position continues to be a guy they can lean on in the running game. Defensively, they're really stingy again. They're really nasty once again. Clark Lea taking over defensive play calling duties from last year continues to pay off major dividends. And again, things click because, guys, you have to think Vandy's best case is not going to be as high as some others because they are still limited from a talent standpoint. That's just the reality. They're still limited from a talent standpoint. Now, we go to worst case. And when I say worst case, what do I mean? You lose to Virginia Tech in non-conference. And, I feel really confident right now saying you're getting those 3 other non-conference wins. I do. I know you lost to Georgia State last year, but I feel really confident in Nashville. You're going to find a way to get that W. Like, I'm not nearly as concerned. I'm not concerned with that game, to be honest with you. So I think you're going worst case 3-1 in non-conference. The worst case scenario for Vandy would be that this schedule really just shows its teeth. And some of the magic and the luster that Diego Pavia had last year starts to dissipate a little bit, right? Like, again, I mentioned the 4 big ones you got to play. At Tennessee, end of season, which, by the way, rivalry game, who knows what can happen, but it's a tough place to play at Neyland. So at Tennessee, at Alabama, at Texas, LSU coming to your place. Got to go to South Carolina, a team you haven't beaten in like 20 years, right? Auburn's a team that's really interesting. They could be a big surprise, or you might beat them again. I mean, listen, Diego Pavia is the mayor of the state of Alabama right now. He owns Auburn football, no doubt. So owns Hugh Freeze. So maybe you get that one, but what if you don't, right? What if you don't? And then, what's the other one that I'm forgetting? Oh, you do have the Kentucky Wildcats. Kentucky, I think, is the SEC win you're probably definitely going to get. But what the worst case would indicate is this schedule just completely punches you in the face. Again, do I think the worst case is going to happen? Am I predicting it? No, I am not. But I think that is the worst case scenario. Does Vanderbilt, because listen, last year was a magical year, guys. It was a magical year down in the West End. You had some craziness happen with, the upset over Bama and outlasting Auburn the way you did. And, beating Virginia Tech the way you did. And that led you to a 6-win regular season. What if you don't have some of that magic show up on a weekly basis? What if Diego Pavia, the offense, has been kind of figured out a little bit? Defenses are able to adjust, and maybe the defense isn't quite as good or takes a step back in this second year of Clark Lea manning this thing. So worst case for the Doors, I think, is 4-8. Best case, I'm going 7-5. I've had pushback from some of the Door folks out there who have said 8-4 they believe is a real possibility. But I'm going best case 7-5, worst case 4-8 as Vandy looks to build off of what they did in the 2024 season. So, guys, would love to hear from you. Would love to hear your thoughts when you look at the Vanderbilt Commodores heading in the 2025 college football season. What's your best case and worst case scenarios for Clark Lea's squad? Guys, that's going to do all for me. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Before we get out of here, I do want to tell you about our friends over at FanDuel because, as always, we are brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Guys, college football season is just around the corner. You want to make sure you're in on all the action with our friends over at FanDuel. Head over to FanDuel.com/SECU to get a $250 bonus today when you win your first $5 bet. That's all you got to put down. $5. You go to FanDuel.com/SECU. You win that bet. You just won yourself $250 in bonus bets to play around with for free. Heck, maybe you're going to put the over on Vandy in their win total. There's other win totals. There's spreads. We've already got spreads for the big games early in the season in week 1, guys. Tons of week 1 spreads are out. Again, you can bet on SEC championship odds, national championship odds. And it doesn't just stop at college football, of course. The NFL, hey, we've got NFL football this month. It's just around the corner. MLB's in full swing. NBA will be back before you know it. NHL, same thing. So again, guys, head over to FanDuel.com/SECU to get in on the action. And don't miss out with our friends at FanDuel. That's FanDuel.com/SECU to get $250 in bonus bets today when you win your first $5 bet. Once again, FanDuel.com/SECU to get $250 in bonus bets today. Once again, guys, thank you all so much for tuning in. Appreciate each and every single one of you. As always, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Check us out via podcast, where we get your podcast. You can also find us across all social media platforms, as well as our website, SECUnfiltered.com. Until next time, I'm Chris Phillips of SEC Unfiltered. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in, and we will catch you on the other side.